this episode of 427 Motorsports, it's time to get stuck into our £350 Volkswagen bay window, and I get the feeling it's going to be just as bad as you imagine. Now before we get stuck in and do some actual work to it today, let's have a quick look over it after we've removed everything out of it, started a little bit of sanding back, and tried to look at what we've got. We'll also talk a little bit about our plans for it, since now we're a bit more concrete in what we're doing since the last episode. Okay, let's do a little bit of a look around now. It's outside, as you can see, so I'm hoping you can ignore all the bird noises since it's that time of year in Ireland when all the birds decide to start shouting like mad. Right, so we have finished stripping everything out of it. And I fixed this door, which is a great start. The door handle was actually seized, so I took that apart, freed it out, greased it all up, and now it works perfectly, which is really nice. Now I give the dashboard a little bit of a spruce up. It was a bit grim before, because obviously it was untouched for like 10 years. Up there, I believe that to be metal, so I'm going to take that out and paint it whatever body colour we have, because I think that'll be a nice touch. Although it might glare in the window, so still undecided. Let's see, so seats, still have no seats. Might have a lead on some Subaru seats, or potentially that black Mercedes over there. Maybe get the interior out of it, still undecided really. The front floors, now that there's nothing in them, aren't too bad. They had a load of welding done, and I know I'm saying they aren't too bad and you're literally looking at a load of rust here, but that is all surface, which my plan today is to start buffing everything back and protecting what's there, and then looking into what welding needs to be done. The doors and all are actually really good. Like, there are a lot of good things on this van, which is honestly a lifesaver for me, because this is going to be how I'm going to properly learn how to weld. I've done a couple of patches for MOTs and stuff, but this is my first full job. Stupidly I tried to open the sunroof, and probably shouldn't have done, because it's cracked the wee bracket thing there, and I think I've got it sealed again. The beauty of this is, right, genuinely, okay, so the weather, we are in Ireland, so the weather is absolutely shite, but as you can see, the ground is wet and muddy and horrible. Inside this van is absolutely bone dry, other than, we'll get to that. But yeah, we had really bad storm weather here in Ireland lately, so like, if it was gonna be bad, you'd expect it to be bad, you know, and it's actually been pretty okay. It did lift the pop top, which I had to pull back down. The wind came through and lifted one side of it up, so I had to put that back down. This door actually works really well, which is awesome, which leads to in here. Now, as you can see, we've got everything out of it, and I started to wire brush it back. I threw some rough primer on it, but that is where some water had got in, so I'm gonna have to basically redo that, but I'm happy enough. I mean, I just wanted to see how much welding had to be done, and other than the obvious, this whole side is actually really good. There's a couple of wee bits there that need to be done, but that's not really a big deal. Like those, I can cut that whole section out there and just put one nice right angled piece in. Don't know what I'll do with that by the time I start properly wire brushing it back, but I mean, it's not the end of the world. Let's see. That side, now that is the bad side, as you can probably tell by looking at it, to be fair. I'm hoping that my camera isn't, I think my camera's struggling to focus here. I'm going to switch to the phone. So this side isn't actually, it is the worst, don't get me wrong, but what I'm seeing so far are just little pinholes. So I'm hoping it hasn't lost too much structural integrity and I can maybe just fill those holes in. I think up here I'm gonna have to cut that whole section out and put a new section in, but you can get the replacement panel, so it's not too bad. Let's see, the plan today is to get stuck into over here. Now those come out of the engine bay. I don't know a lot about these air cooled things because I'm a golf man, so I know where they go. What function they serve, I do not know, but there they are. But no, like, it's actually so dry in here, it's crazy. It has no right to be this dry on a wet day, you know? Which is really reassuring, to be honest. So, the plan is I've got the grinder, I've got a wire brush attachment, and I've got some red oxide, and I've got primer, and I've got stone chip. So my plan today is to basically attack most of this interior and put some kind of paint and protection on it. I'm gonna put stone chip on it first. Well, no, like, I'm gonna put red oxide on it, and then I'm gonna prime it, and then I'm gonna put stone chip on it, because I will eventually paint it nicely, and the stone chip is a good durable surface to paint on, and I've painted over it before. Proper paint has been fine, so I'll do it again. I mean, today's going to be all covered in carpet and stuff for the most part, so you're not even going to see it, but it's just as many layers of protection on it as I can get as possible. So as you can see on the outside, I did actually start to do stuff to it. We wanted to see, like, there were lots of bubbles and things, and I was like, is that rot or is that a badly done paint job? And as expected, a lot of it was badly done paint job. Like, there was a big bubble here, and I was like, that's going to be rot, and it actually wasn't rot. It was just the paint had reacted or whatever and come up through, so that was reassuring. This door does have one or two wee bad bits in it, but like, as a whole, the door is actually pretty good. The bottoms are iffy, but I'd rather repair the bottoms than replace a good working door. So back here though is where I have actually spent a bit of time working. So when you last seen this, it was a completely bare engine. Oh, that was stuck. As you can see now, there's a dizzy on it. I took those heat exchanger thingies off. I checked all the plug leads. They all seem fine. They were a bit rough from not having anything connected to them because they weren't actually attached to the dizzy. So took them in, buffed them all back. They look really good. Plugs seem okay. So people are going to get angry with me on this one, but this will be coming out. So, oh well. Which is where we will now go and talk about our plans. So we had said that we were going to use this as like a multi-purpose van slash camper slash bit of everything. So air cooled engine for me just ain't going to cut it if I'm going to use this for towing things. And everybody and their dog does an engine swap from one of these. But I ain't doing that because I can't be bothered. So we managed to hit the absolute jackpot when it comes to Volkswagen spares. Will you see? We managed to get this. Now sorry, excuse the mess. To your average viewer, this is just a clump of parts. But to those in the know, this is a 1.6 diesel engine from a Volkswagen T25. Now it is the same 1.6 diesel engine that would have been in a Mark II Golf. And I think a Mark 1, but I think it's mainly Mark II. Anyway, this has everything we need to put a diesel into the back of our bay window. And the best part is, we got the matching gearbox and we got the matching shift linkage, which is sitting there. And what that means is all of this should, in theory, relatively easily go straight into our bay window, and we'll have a gearbox that's fit for the engine. Rather than having to worry about a petrol box not matching the ratios or whatever, this way we have everything ready to go in. Now, that's the next thing. The 1.6D was underpowered at the best of times. So putting it into a T25 then made it even more underpowered. So putting it into a T2 is going to be roughly the same. And we want to be able to tow things and tow cars and use this as an all-round adventure wagon. Which means 1.6D just ain't going to cut it. But long-time viewers of the channel will remember this thing, which has kind of been in automotive purgatory for the last little while. But what you will remember is what was in it. I'll give you a sneak peek. There. This is the 1.9 TDI from a Mark III Golf. Now this one is a 90 brake horsepower one. The clutch went, or the gearbox went, one of them went, and it was just packed up and forgotten about, and it needed a couple of things for MOT, and it's just sat there ever since. Then I rubbed some parts of it to finish the other TDI, which we'll get into in another video at some stage. So it's kind of just sat here, not knowing what to do with it. But this is a TDI that I know is happy and healthy. That's an ECU that is demobilized, which means no fucking around with keys and transponders. This with that T25 setup will be a nice bolt-in job done. Now we'll have to swap the sump over, we have to swap the oil pickup, blah, blah, blah. But we'll get into all that when it comes to doing it. But we are going to make a TDI bay window. As for what I'll do with that thing afterwards, I don't know. Don't worry, we're not scrapping it, we're not getting rid of it, but I just don't know what to do with it. So maybe I'll PD it at some stage or something like that. Who knows? But most importantly, we managed to get that set up for £200. And some of the bits on that alone are worth that. So that leaves our bay window standing at £550. Now, that engine was meant to be a 1.6 TD, and then it arrived and it was not a 1.6 TD. It's actually a 1.9D, which is bit annoying because it would have meant it was an upgrade for the van, the Mark II van, and it would have been great, and so on and so forth. I don't really want a 1.9D, so we're going to sell that diesel engine, put the TDI from the Blue Golf into it, and then we're going to sell the air-cooled engine and gearbox, which should leave us in profit actually, which gives us money then to put into the van to get it how we want it. So this will probably be the cheapest TDI swap on the cheapest bay window that the internet has ever seen, but who knows? But anyway, yeah, so we're going to make the bay window a multi-purpose van. We're going to get a TDI put into it, and we're going to use it for all sorts of shit. We're going to put the tent box on the roof. We're going to have a roof rack. It's going to be awesome. But before we get into all that exciting stuff, we need to start making the thing actually presentable and ready to go. So the first plan now is to grab the grinder and the extension lead, head over to the car and start brushing out all of that rust. Now, as is probably fairly obvious right now, this is a pretty low budget, fairly quick video because I've only got a couple hours here today before I have to head up the road. So I'm maximizing getting some work done versus, you know, fancy production values and all the rest. But rest assured, when we get into the more complicated nitty gritty stuff, there'll be better quality. I can see why people on like building sites get that like shaky hand syndrome because holy shit, that's my first time using a wire brush on a grinder before. Usually I use polydiscs and things, and I can also see the amount of fumes that I'm soaking in, so I'm probably going to open that back door. But yeah, I'm going to get some gloves or something to try and take some of these vibrations down. So already, now I know probably not great to see on camera, but this whole side has just been wire brushed. It is all absolutely rock solid. Once that's a wee bit more refined and has some primer on it, that's actually going to look amazing. So I'm hoping, you know, that looked like that at the start. So fingers crossed this whole section is going to look as good as that. I did get some gauntlets, by the way, welding gauntlets. I can still sort of feel a wee bit of how you doing in my hands, like, but that's how you know you're alive. So because it is fairly harsh in the hands, I'm just going to do it in like segments at a time. But for now, I'm going to throw a tiny wee bit of red oxide primer on the bit that I've just done because I'm dying to see how it looks whenever it's treated. Yep, that's looking fierce well. Obviously there's a little bit of pitting on top, but sure, that's the nature of any surface that's had rust on it, I suppose. So fingers crossed, all the rest is going to turn out just like that. While I'm at it, and you know, I'm letting this dry and let my hands relax for a minute, let's talk about sort of the importance of doing stuff like this. This is a van that, you know, more than one person went to look at before me, looked at it and said, nah, not a chance, that's too done, that's not worth saving. Look how good this is. Like, I know this is only one section, but how could you turn away and let something like this get scrapped? Something with so many... This goes, I'm hippie-ish, I know, I mean, it makes sense, I'm in a Volkswagen camper van, but like, this is a vehicle that's, what, 50 years old? 50 this year? Yeah, holy shit, 50 this year. This thing has had such a life up to now. Why let it be scrapped for, you know, just a couple of bits of welding? You know, I mean, to go and buy one of these now, a really good one, you're probably talking about 20 grand, but for a bit of elbow grease and probably like 1 or 2 grand, that's judging by how things are so cheap at the minute for me with this, it's great. For that kind of money, I mean, why wouldn't you save it? I mean, yeah, I'm not doing the most professional of work here, but that's not what this is about. This is a budget build. So many people on YouTube can just throw money at something and be like, look how amazing this is, and that has this place, I know, but this is not that place. We are a grassroots channel. We do things how we would do it ourselves, you know, at the side of the road, in a garage, on the driveway, whatever. That's what this is about. And it's such a shame that so many potentially great vehicles with so many more stories to tell would have just been got rid of because nobody wanted to take it on. You have to think about the life that vehicle once had. You're not just rescuing a piece of transport, you're rescuing a piece of history when it gets to this age. This is living, breathing history. This isn't something that you read about in textbooks. This is something that you get in and actually physically experience. You get into this thing, this is what it was like to be around in the 70s. It wasn't great. No, you know what I mean. Like this is truly a piece of history, and I was going to say that you don't buy another one, they're not making these anymore, but I mean they did make these for a long time, but you know what I mean. We at this channel don't really scrap anything, to be honest. We might pillage for parts, but if we scrap something, it's truly done. And there's so many people who commented saying, oh Jesus, that's so much work, that's not saving. But 20 minutes I've been at this now and this whole section is nearly buffed. What's the rush? You know? I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work, but I mean, what else would you be doing? You know, this is the hobby, this is the passion, this is the love for cars. And if you don't love cars, you're in the wrong place. This might just be a car that somebody came to look at and said, no, that's scrap, and then never thought about it again. But to somebody, this was their pride and joy. This was their passion. They maybe didn't want to let this go. This might have been their drive home from the hospital when they first had kids. This might be their first date car. This might be their last date car. Like, you know, I know we said stuff like that in 50 Years of Golf video, but it's so important to remember that. Now, I'm not saying use that to justify going and buying heaps of shit or anything like that, but it's just something to think about. Before you give up on a project because it's too much work, just think, what did this mean to somebody at some stage? And having met the previous owner I got this off and stayed in contact with, I know this van meant so much to them. So saving this isn't just like a basket case restoration that I'm doing for some kind of self-punishment or for your entertainment. This is saving something that somebody didn't want to let go but had no choice. And to that end, we're going to do this van justice. Okay, so this is actually pretty good. So I went over all this with the wire wheel, and then I put some of that like fucking cure rust treatment, rust proofer stuff on it. I redid the bit that I had already done over here. I just wanted to see how it looked because I was too excited, frankly. There was not one single rot hole anywhere. There's a couple of like mounting holes where somebody had stuff screwed in before. You can tell they're not rot holes because they're like perfect circles. It's like, okay, well that rot doesn't... I wish rot would be that perfect, but it is not. So all of this is fucking rock solid. So I put red oxide primer on it. I went up as far as there because I thought, you know what, if I get the ground floor done today, that'll be awesome. And then we're about the top half another time. But that is incredible. So this bit here where the seal was, as with a lot of cars, the lip that the seal goes onto starts to rot, which is sad, but I mean, it kind of is what it is, I guess. So I'll cut that out and put better in. Although, given the fact that it's literally just for the seal, I'm not going to leave it, don't worry. But I might see if I can think of something a bit more creative just to get the lip nice. But you'll never see it whenever it's actually sorted. I know that's not the attitude to have, shut up. So, now, letting that dry a bit, I'll put some regular primer on it just to make it look a bit prettier. And then I'll get stuck in with either these bits here or that floor section there. One or the other, but either way, I'm flying through this, so that is great. I'm gonna get loads done today. So I was just about to get started into this lower section here. I was going to remove the seat belts to make things a little bit easier. And either the captive nut has gone or somebody has bolted these with a nut and bolt and the nut is spinning on the other side. So in these conditions today, I ain't fucking with that, so I'm just going to work around them for now. I don't want seat belts because we're not having proper seats in the back. We're going to have a rock and roll bed, but we're not going to have seats, really, and people aren't going to be using it to sit in, so I'm taking the belts out. But in case you're wondering why whenever I paint it off, there's still seat belts there, that's why. So I'm sitting here for a minute, and I'm just kind of like relaxing my hands, because, you know, can't use that thing for too long. And I've just looked up, And I'm noticing it's got one of those bios. Now, I already made the mistake with that sunroof of trying to open it. So, what's one more mistake, I guess? That's what my parents said whenever they were about to have me. Let's see if this works. Oh, that's dusty and disgusting. Okay. Oh, shit. It does actually work. I'm going to leave that open just for extra ventilation while I'm doing all this. Okay, so 2.5 hours left of my time here. I've done pretty well so far, I think. I can't do much more because I have to wait on stuff to dry. As you can see, it's actually looking pretty damn fucking good back there. That is all rock solid. Down here, the corner bits, which I've shown you already, are not great, which is to be expected for a 350-pound bay window. But I started into the front here, which I'll show you now. So just kind of getting started on the front, really. So I've buffed all back with the red oxide and got some primer on it. The floors are damn good. There's one wee bad bit there and one pinhole there, but all the rest is incredible. It's already had welding work done, so I guess that's why it's so good. I think so. It will be going that blue color that you see there. So the whole thing inside will be repainted that blue. So no, it's not going that white stone chip. That is just a really durable base that I've stuck on there to try and give it some kind of resistance to the scrapes and roughness that it's going to have, because I'll be towing things and lifting things and stuff as well as camping in it. So I'm trying to make it as durable as possible. Now, one thing I was thinking of doing with this bit of time I've got left is hooking up a battery to it and seeing what happens. But I'm kind of afraid to do that because I don't even have a key. The keys, she lost the keys, so I'm gonna have to do it like Heritage or something like that and get a matching key lock set thing. I'll probably just get two for the doors, front doors and the ignition barrel, and then just have the side doors lockable as they are. It's expensive to get a full kit, so I just thought, nah, that can wait for now. As you can see, before I even start to wire brush the side, this is by far the worst side. So we'll get the wire brush on it and see how it looks. So there we are. That is the first sort of full day at working at the bay window. Very happy with how it's looking so far. From what I can gather, I only need one full panel for that left cargo floor and one small section for that hole that was for some reason cut out. And other than that, the inside anyway is damn good. Those wee bits back there, I'm just going to make repair panels for. There's no point buying sections for that really. Other than that, it's just going to be getting the diesel in, making the outside look good, which is very exciting. So yes, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, give us a subscribe, because there's going to be more. Well, obviously there's going to be a lot more working on this van to get it turned into a camper slash work van with off-road tires and roof rack and cool sign writing and all sorts. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Tomo. This has been 427 Motorsports. Good luck.